Okay, guys, just like to introduce you to a couple of effects. We'll use a shatter effect to shatter an object using Maya's bullet. Now, if you don't have bullet showing in your top menu or in your menu tabs here, this is bullet. You can always go to Windows, Settings Preferences. Make sure you turn it on in the plugin manager. Where is it exactly? Just scroll down to the B's and bullet. I've got auto load and loader turned on, bullet.mll, and then refresh, then close it. This way you'll see the bullet menu. Okay, to use bullet, I'll just create a simple object. I'll create a sphere, and now I've found one of the tips here to help the bullet actually, or shatter, we're going to use shatter first, is come into the inputs and just reduce the polygon subdivision axis and subdivision's height. So if I left click both of these and drag, I can middle mouse click and drag to reduce it or increase it. So I'll just reduce that a bit. I'll go down to say 10 for now. Okay. You might get away with a higher number, something rounder. All right. I'll try 14. Let's see what happens there. So I hit Alt, Shift, and D to delete the history. Alt, Shift, D. Now we're interested in coming into Effects and come down to Shatter and go to the Options box. Now in the Options box, you could give it a name if you wish. I'm not going surface shatter, I'm going solid shatter. Shard count, I'll take that to say 6. Edge jagginess, I've raised that a bit about here. Okay, I've clicked post operation as shapes. Now remove interior polygons is off. Triangulate surface is off, and I will state original surface delete. And I'll hit apply, and then you should wait about 20 seconds, and there's my shatter. So if I were to grab these, they're now shattered, and they're solid shattered pieces. Okay, cool. If you've gotten that far, great. So what we want to do now is apply the bullet effect, but before we do that, I'm going to create a ground plane. Actually, you could use anything for your ground plane. I'll try this polygon disc, and I'll just extend the size of it. All right, I'll go a little bit larger actually, and I'll even increase the subdivisions better. Now I'm just going to change the surface a little bit with my vertex. I'm selecting a vertex. I'll hit B and hold B with left mouse drag. So just uneven surface. You don't have to do this. I'm just trying to introduce a couple of modeling techniques. Right. Okay, and I might even put the very center one down a little bit. See what happens. All right, so I'll also Alt Shift D, delete history for this, and I'll call this ground. So I've got ground and my solid shatter. All right. Now with the ground selected, if you go to bullet, create passive rigid body. This way it won't move. Great. Now also, while you're in there, go to the attribute editor. Make sure you change from the collider properties from box to mesh static only. Okay, that way it'll pick up the actual mesh and not treat it as just a box or a plain surface. Okay, next up, we need to create the shatter. Well, we've created the shatter, sorry. We need to create the bullet physics effect for our shards. So you can try selecting, well, I'll try and select the whole lot in here, right? You got to drop down. I'll just select the whole lot. Normally I come in here, actually select all the individual shards like that, holding shift. I'll just try it first with the group, and I'll go to bullet. You want to go rigid set. That's important. Okay, and apply. Now it looks like it's worked on that. So right now, I'm just going to see what happens if I hit play. There, it worked. Great. So you don't need to select every shard. You can just select the group and you go bullet rigid set. Now in the past, I would often go bullet active rigid body, create active, on each of these, but you don't have to. It's important just to go bullet rigid set. Okay, now when we push play, by the way, in preferences, I'm set to 24 FPS, which is fine, and I hit play and it's working. Look at that. Okay, and then you can start to play around with the different effects for that. It's working quite well, actually. Yeah, so that's a little tip regarding using bullet. Okay, hopefully that helps some of you. Have fun with that. Just make sure you come into the bullet solver, and if you want to, you've got the bullet rigid set initial state. So initial conditions, you can have it sleeping. So, and glue the shapes if you wish. So they're a little bit more difficult to fracture. So they may start out, see? So you could have it actually drop and then break apart. I could increase threshold. Let's try 6 and see what happens. Is it still going to break apart? There we go. See that? Now it's not breaking apart. Let's go to say 4. So now I'm just playing with the variables. Still not. Okay, let's try 2.5. See what happens. Boom. Okay. What was it before? 2. Still not. So I'm just trying to reduce this bit by bit. Oh, there. Now it's starting to work. To 1.6. I'll go to 1.5. See what I'm doing? So I don't want to take too much of your time, but just by playing with this, you can gradually bring it down and down until you get each one. There, wow, 0.8, it really jumps a lot. Okay, there, boom. Max constant per body, I want to say 4. See what happens there. Oh, they just jump straight away. Try 8. Now I'm going the opposite. Okay, so now it's starting to drop and then pop away. I'll go 10. Boom. Go back to say 6. I'll just set this to 1. The glue. Boom. Okay, so now it is breaking when it hits the ground. See that? And I could even start it higher. Whoops. Higher up. Better grab my shutter. Where is it? Play. Boom. Look at that. Got 2 of them going on. Okay. What else is good in here to play around with? Here's the internal color. Right. You create a material of choice. So you can see that. There. Now it's red internally. Okay. All right. Now I'm just starting to play around things like friction, etc. on the ground plane. I could add dampening, the mass. Anyway, there's a lot to play with there. Have fun with it. And yeah, what else is a really good tip here while I'm going to go File, New Scene. Don't save. A couple of modeling tips. Let's say you create armor for a character. So I'll just say this is the character's leg or arm. Okay. You could come to modeling toolkits. So a couple of tips and tricks here. Multi-cut is where you normally go. Just scroll down and try extracting faces. You can set this to say 0.5. I'll say 0 in the X and 0 in the Z, X, Y, Z. I'll go 0.5. Watch what happens when you click and drag outside. See, so you can effectively cut parts. Now this is really good for, like I mentioned, maybe a stylized pipe, or if you wanted to create, let me just grab this, I'll show you what I mean. Maybe it's a leg, or a leg or armor. So internally, I'll just drag it out a bit, bring it in a bit, see, there you can see it now. Okay, so that can be useful as well. Maybe it's an exhaust pipe, or okay, and then if you wanted to, you could combine these two. So combine in our modeling toolkit up the top, combine. Now it's one piece. Alt-Shift-D, get rid of any history. And you could, if you wanted to, maybe even start to add a bend modifier. So I'll go modeling, deform. Let's try maybe a bend. So I've gone deform, nonlinear, bend. Okay, and let's have a look at the bend modifier in the channel box. Here it is. Curvature. Right. Oh, looks like it's not bending one of them, just the one. That's interesting. Oh, I applied it just to the one here. Okay. So let me just combine that. Oh, it is combined as one. Let's try that again. Deform, bend. Okay. Try after. Try it again. Bend shape. It's not bending on the second, this one here. So just back out of that a little bit. Why would that be? Alt-Shift-D, there's no history. Oh, I know why. I didn't put any cuts on the internal piece. Okay, what do I mean by that? I'm just backing out of here. Here we go. Let's have a look at that. So originally I had this internal one, but it's got no horizontal cuts through here at all. So let's actually create some subdivisions in the height. Okay, all right, let's put that back in. And by the way, here's a little tip. If you want to align two objects, you can go select them both. Whoops. So this one, and then up here, modify align tool, and you get this little menu or heads up display. Clicking this one, there you go, centered already. Fantastic. Okay, let's try that again. So I'm going to take these two, I'm going to combine them. It'd be interesting to try them separate too, just like this. We'll try them both and see what we get, because we're really experimenting here. So I'm going to go deform, nonlinear, bend, curvature. Now it's working, even with two of them. Okay, neat. There we go. Okay, so that's working with two separate objects. So now if I really wanted to, I could keep working this one. Okay, that's pretty cool. Okay, what else have we got up here? Another really useful tool. I'll say new scene, don't save. And let's say you were creating a shirt for a character. So let's say we have, which one? Maybe this. Turn this on so you guys can see. Maybe this is the character. Actually, you know what? Let me actually bring in a character. Windows, and I'm going to go to General Editors, Content Browser, and I'll search for an actual character. Bipeds. Where was clothing again? I notice we have some shirts, etc. in here. So I'll pull in this human. And I'll even try pulling in some clothing. I'll pull in the, say, jumper. So I should have now 2 bits. There we go. Okay. So I have a person with a jumper. And I'm just going to quickly change the color of the jumper just so as we can recognize it a little bit easier. Pull in 2. Let's change that one. There we go. Nice red jumper. Alright, so sometimes when you place a mesh over top of another mesh, you're going to get penetration like this. Alright, a little tip here, let's see if this works. You can actually right click and grab all the faces. I'll try the faces. Whoops, let's not grab this character, so I'll just put them onto a layer for now. Restrict them. So you should be able to grab all the faces like that. And if you actually right click, double click, on your move tool, translate tool, and change from world to normal. Alright. And then when you move it, actually it needs to be vertex, not those. There we go. The vertices, not the faces. And once again, double click the move tool and change to normal, axis orientation to normal. And you'll see a little N. See that N? Pull out on the N, and that inflates everything uniformly along the normal axis, so it inflates it evenly outwards, if that makes sense. So let's now go a little bit more. See that? Alright, that can be beneficial when you're creating clothing to get it evenly dispersed. Now I've noticed though under here we got some overlapping, so I'm just going to pull that in a little bit. It looks like in here I will turn on symmetry, and I'm just going to grab this. Maybe this vertex might do it, and I'm going to change this back now to I'll go object. I just want to pull this one out a bit. Yeah, okay, I'm going to do this a little bit manually. It's okay, something like that. Alright, we'll see if this works with this object that I've just pulled in, this jacket, this jumper. That should do. So let's say that this character is actually rigged, right? So we have a rigged character, fully rigged character. So rather than creating an end cloth for this object, for the jacket, what we can actually do is wrap it. So we'll put a deformer on it. So before I do that, I'm just going to increase the mesh. So I'll smooth it once, like that. Alt-Shift-D. Let's just try and wrap deformer. So I'll select the object, shift select mesh. I'm going to go deform. I'll create a wrap. Options. Should be alright. Auto, weight, threshold, render influence, fall off volume. Let's see what we get. Now I hit apply, and that has applied it. Let's just see if it's actually wrapped. How can I test that? Now normally you would have the mesh. I'll just grab this guy, some of the faces. Okay, and I'm just going to increase the amount. I'm just going to move them and we'll see what we get. There you go. They're moving together, and that is showing me that they're moving together. Alright. So now of course this character's not rigged, etc., but I just wanted to show you a method for very quickly being able to skin, or not skin, but wrap clothing to a character. That can be beneficial. Quick method, that is. So let's try grabbing maybe the internal just to show you. See? There it is here. I'll just increase this amount by holding B. So internally, see, I've increased that on the characters mesh. There we go, and it's working really nicely actually. That's another tip, guys. Hopefully that helps someone. Right. Okay. One more tip. Let's actually try encloth. All right, why not? So we'll create, say, a flag. Oh, actually, you know what? I should be using J when I incrementally rotate. Place this up a little bit. So you have this nice little flag that you've created. I could even come in here and grab a couple of vertices, every second one maybe, like this, to stylize the bottom of the flag. Okay, something like that. Yep. Once again, Alt-Shift-D, delete any history, important. Now, being this will be a material, I'm going to increase the resolution of the mesh. So mesh, smooth once. All right. Now, if you wanted to keep this resolution, I mean, without it, say, smoothing out the edges here, you could actually just use this as the end cloth, which we'll do now. So I'll just show you guys. First I'll create a cylinder because we need something for our flag to hang on to. We don't want it to just drop. I'll do that quickly. So it's got this little flag poley thing. Right, like that. Okay, let's go effects, end cloth, create passive collider for our pole. This means this one won't move. Now we'll select our flag. I'll actually better call this flag. And I'll call this one pole. Right, so we'll select our flag and we go end cloth again. Create end cloth. Now, I like to go in straight away to the attribute editor with our end cloth selected and go presets. Now, you can select any of these. It's just a really good starting point. I'll go heavy denim. Right? Now, if I push play, it's going to drop. See that? That's because it's not attached. To attach it, you can simply come in here and select a couple of these vertices. I'll select actually all of them along the top here. From here to this end. Whoops. Not letting me grab the whole lot. I'll just grab them like that. There we go. Okay. Then shift select your pole. And in here, we want to add an end constraint. In particular, point to surface. Right? Just going to create a link between those. There's a little line, a little dotted line. Now when I push play, it stays there. Okay, and it's working. And we can test that. I'll create another passive object, maybe this ball, and I'll animate the ball going through it. So I'll go from point A to point B, and we'll come back. Okay. There. Now we better turn this into a passive. So end cloth, create passive. Let's see what happens. There we go. It's working. It's hitting it quite hard, isn't it? So this is where you start to make adjustments to the thickness, the friction, the bounce, stickiness. All right. So stickiness, make it a little bit sticky. What happens now? A bit better. This cloth, probably needs a bit more gravity applied to it, etc. So I'm starting to play with the dynamic properties, wind generation, pressure, okay, collisions, self-collide, right? By the way, in here, in the in-cloth shape one, turn on solver display is off. If you go to collision thickness, you can see the thickness is what it's going to collide with. Okay, they should change that color if you wish. The friction. So here's the thickness here. You go 2 up, you can make it really thin. Okay, I'll just turn that off. Good. What I'm interested in here is friction, stickiness, bit of stickiness in there. And yeah, now I don't want to waste too much of your time here, but now I'm starting to get into the dynamic properties. Here we go. Rigidity, so bend resistance, that's it, etc. All right, good. Push play again. All right, now we're starting to get there, slowing down a bit. Okay, I would even increase collide strength and self-collide scale, bounce friction. I'm going to go stickiness up a bit more. Little bit rigidity. There we go. Now we're starting to get there. So stickiness is probably too high. It's really sticking to it right now. Okay. And so just play around with all these, all right? The other one you really want to play with is going to be the what is it, the weight of it. Let me see if I can find that. Would probably be in channel box for now. Down here, stickiness, bounce, etc. The mass. Okay, change the mass, that's important. There's a bunch of stuff. But what I want to say here, once you've played around with that a fair bit, there's a lot to play with here. But it's worth getting into. Once again, what you could then do, if you don't want to, if you want to show more detailed end cloth, you could in fact maybe create another cloth exactly the same as the other one. Let me try that. Control D. So I just duplicated it. Right. Remember, this does not have the cloth applied to it. I'll just pull it off just a little bit, and I'm going to increase the mesh density. So I go mesh smooth on this one if I wanted to, right? Or I could just increase the manually. I could come in here and actually come in with maybe my multi-cut tool and add a whole bunch of extra cuts. Okay. Whoops. I've still got this one turned on, don't I? So I better turn off extract basis. So I could add extra cuts in here. I'm doing this in manual method just to show you different techniques. Right, so I might be able to get more fluid looking mesh here. Try that. Maybe, no, I'll leave it like that. So if I wanted to, I could then select this, Alt-Shift-D, delete the history, and Shift click this one. And what we're going to do is do another deform, a wrap deformer, right? You could try a proximity wrap, offset, so try that. Now what happens? Let's see if they follow one another. Whoop, they don't. So back out of that one. Maybe I selected them in the wrong order. Let's try that one. Whoop, that. Shift select the other one. Where is it actually? I didn't actually grab it, I don't think. The flag. Try it again. No, it's not working with it. Not sure why. Create. Okay. I might have grabbed them in the wrong order actually. I'll grab that one and then that one. Apply. Nope, still not working. Alright, so I'm just going to back out of that using the proximity wrap just for now. Let's try another one. So I'm really experimenting here, guys. Exactly what you guys should be starting to do. I'm going to go deform. I'll use a normal wrap deformer. See what I get. There we go. So what does that mean? You could come in here and hide your original one. So I can come up here and hide that one. Control H. And now you have your more detailed mesh being affected. Okay. And it's less computational. Okay, hopefully that helps. And of course, I need to make a few adjustments here and there, etc. Yeah. Okay, have fun with that, and happy modeling and happy animating, happy rigging, etc. All right, guys, thanks for watching.